Nathaniel DeGrave is a nonviolent January 6th defendant. He's someone who was trying to create video footage inside the Capitol of what was going on. He's been arrested. He's written a public letter that is very moving in its entirety. I'm only going to read a few lines from it, but it gives you an indication from inside of how wicked the Biden DOJ is and the DC kind of correctional establishment. So the letter is he says very explicitly, a cry for help. He's been 9 months detained. And remember, this is a guy who hasn't even been tried. He hasn't been convicted of anything. He says the conditions in the jail are so bad that he wouldn't mind being transferred to Guantanamo Bay. Why? Because there are more prisoner protections there than they are in the so-called DC Gitmo. He says for the first couple of months, there were daily lockdowns for 23 to 24 hours, creating, well, you can only imagine the mental anguish of sitting in a dark room for 23 hours a day. He goes, a large percentage of us are medicated, and we need to take anti-anxiety and antidepressant drugs. He goes, anytime that somebody gives a public interview in favor of January 6 defendants, he goes, anytime people speak up about our conditions or have a rally in their name, he goes, the guards retaliate by putting them into lockdown. Even the 1 hour of recreation they're normally allowed is then denied. He says privileged legal documents have been confiscated. Sensitive discovery video evidence is watched by prison employees during legal calls. He talks about medical neglect. People who need medical care don't get it. We saw that, of course, with the judge who said that the guy who broke his hand deserved medical care that had been denied. He talks about how dirty the cells are, raw sewage flowing into the unit, the mold on the walls. He says white rags turn brown when they're dipped into water. He says they're suffering nutritional deficiencies. The food is horrible. He says some of us are, if you don't have commissary, the chance to buy, let's say, a candy bar or a piece of jerky, are forced to starve. He goes, I suffer from headaches and nausea on a regular basis, from the malnutrition and constant hunger. I've lost almost 15 pounds since I've been detained. He also says they are forced to undergo humiliating strip searches, often without warrant. There are people who come in to visit. Those people are tested. So obviously they don't have anything on them, but nevertheless, they strip search the detainees as well. He goes, mail is detained for months. Religious services are suppressed. And then he makes this point. He goes, we experience a lot of racism from guards. And these guards, by the way, are predominantly black, but they're not African American. He goes, many of them are migrants from Africa. And he says they have been sort of trained in the prison system to hate us because we're white and to hate America. And so they will literally, when the inmates are singing the Star Spangled Banner, they will shout insults at them. I mean, this is the atmosphere that these people are dealing with. It's absolutely horrific. And I think he concludes on a very poignant note. He goes, I was on top of the world once upon a time, and that life now seems like a distant memory. I don't think there's any doubt that these January 6 defendants are, in fact, political prisoners. Yes, political prisoners in a free America. And I also have to say that someone in the end is going to have to pay for all this. This is not going to go unforgotten. And if some of us have the say at the end, this is not something that will go unavenged.